At the beginning of 2025, the Grand Theft Auto 6 mapping project looked like this. And now at the end of 2025, the Grand Theft Auto 6 map looks like this, and there has been a lot of changes and a lot of new discoveries as well, along with the most controversial change, which is the removal of the Florida-based panhandle. I spent hundreds of hours researching GTA 6 along with the mapping project, and I've talked to a lot of people within this mapping community, especially with the head creative, so to say, of the mapping community, Yanis. You might think that this is very easy to do, but in fact it is actually very difficult and takes a lot of genius people using a lot of creative techniques, even creating their own coding and software to make sure that this is as accurate as possible. The first thing they do is actually look at real life. Now, this is a part of the mapping general Discord of the mapping community, and they are trying to discover which this little building behind everything else is in real life. And so they go to Google Maps and they find the building that is close to all these other buildings. So once you're here in Google Maps, you can see that this building right here is that very building. And so then they also are able to find the shape of the building. And if you've never been to Miami like me, you can already see how huge this real life city is. For example, you also have this cool little triangle island right here, and in the mapping project you can actually go there. It's right here, and as you can see, you have all these buildings that are very specifically shaped. Well, if you go here, you can see how their shape is being influenced by the real life counterpart. Absolutely amazing how they do this. Where it all began with the mapping project is when the leaks were released to the world in September of 2022. Those 90 clips were both footage of gameplay and raw data, and in many of those clips, if you looked closely at the debug text on the screen, you saw numbers, specifically X, Y, and Z coordinates. Now, if you've played Minecraft, you know how this works. Basically, the center point is 0.0.0, and everything else is defined by how far away it is from that center. Then it's just a matter of opening Photoshop and mapping everything out that you know about those leaked coordinates. At the time, GTA 6 was being mapped by community member Dupzor. He took a screenshot of every single 2022 development clip and gave it a name. Then he opened another Photoshop file, which was going to be the exact map of Grand Theft Auto 6, where he made anchor points which display where every single screenshot of the leak is. And around that, all the buildings and roads can be displayed. However, in 2022, we only had the leaks. We did not have any screenshots, trailers, or any information at all. So let's fast forward now to 2025 and see how this process has evolved. Of course, now we do have every single piece of footage that we have seen officially from Rockstar, and the process is way more advanced. One of the cool places in Vice City is called the Venetian Islands, which is one of the first confirmed locations through trailer 1. And so let me explain how they map buildings like this. It all starts with, of course, the anchor point of the trailer screenshot, and they make a very rough sketch of what they see in the map. Now, what then happens is very advanced. They take a couple of screenshots of that Google Maps building, and they either make 3D models looking something like this. Yes, they do create full-on 3D models of these buildings, or something way more advanced, which the mapping community calls triangulations. This one is wild to wrap your head around because they actually create programs, software, and code to find the exact location of these buildings. So let's say there is one building that is shown in two different official pieces of footage. So you have a building showing in a screenshot, and you also have a building showing in the trailer. What the mapping team does is they have a script where they take the building from those two angles, and they have that script maps send rays towards that building, and the software returns where those rays intersect. And this gives you the exact position of the buildings along with the shape and the size of the buildings. And that is absolutely wild to me that they would go this far to either recreate this in 3D or have a software decide where these buildings are. And of course, let's not forget the roads that these maps have. In that particular case, you just look at all the buildings that are being put on the map and you look at the footage and you kind of guess the first time what the road layout will be, since it's also known from the real life images that you can look up. And you're able to be more accurate as time goes on, where you notice little details about the shape of the road and you adjust as you go. And then there's the coastlines of the map, which is kind of the same method as the roads. They basically look at these screenshots and trailers of GTA 6 and then align the shape of the coastlines as accurately as they possibly can based on that footage. But the team also goes a little bit further with the coastlines than just guessing. They also use the projection method, where they cast rays from the camera of the footage to the water level, and that should also tell you where the water meets the coast, because of course with an island where the water starts, the map ends. And especially this triangulation tool is very powerful because it gives you the most accurate position for any building that is shown more than one time. To get an idea of how big this community is, there are over 2,000 Discord users online within that mapping community every single day. Hundreds of them are actually being active and working to more accurately map the GTA 6 state of Leonida every day. However, there are countless of different projects that are being built inside this Discord community. People are recreating the GTA 6 map in different games like Fortnite, Roblox, Lego games, and one of the first ones, which was created by Darkspace, was actually the GTA 6 map inside of GTA 5. And I covered all of these projects in their own separate videos, and I will link the playlist of that in the description if you want to see them. And there is still a lot of work to do for me because these separate projects are also being updated throughout the year, and it has been absolutely a privilege and so much fun to see this community grow and also see the projects grow, in addition to talking to all these genius people working on these projects. And the most beautiful thing about this community is that everybody is welcome. Everybody can go and join today, ask any question about how you can help this community, and then when new trailers and screenshots come out, which will definitely be the case in 2026, you can be a part of this beautiful community as well and be credited as an official Grand Theft Auto 6 mapper before GTA 6. Thank you to Rolfcore and Easy Does It for being a YouTube member, and I will see you guys next time. Bye bye.